Hey everybody, thank you for watching my videos, and happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. As a fun way to celebrate, I'm going to be tying a woolly bugger, but I'm going to be tying it red, white, and blue. So a couple things to start off. So what I'm using is a size 6 hook. Oh, I don't want to put it in the vise just yet, because then we have conehead weights. I have small and extra small, and so I think with this one I'm going to go with small. So we'll get one of these out of here, and of course there's all different colors. I had thought of doing sort of a red head with it, but I don't have any and wasn't able to swing by my local fly shop prior to doing this video, so we will just slide that on there and then sort of tighten that down a little to where it sort of grasps it a little bit, and there, tighten that. So there we go. Now for the body of it, you will use like some sort of a chenille. I'm actually using, because this is what I had in white, this is actually mop fly material, but I actually think that it's going to work pretty good. So we will use that. Then to wrap around the body, we have the options of either a solid white or a barred grizzly hackle. I'm going to do the solid white. We'll give that a try, see how that goes. So it's a solid white body, and to really make it pop, I'm going to have some red marabou. That'll be the tail of it, and it will be accompanied by crystal flash and blue flash, blue crystal flash. So and then I'm going to use red thread. This is 140 denier. If it turns out how I'm hoping, I kind of want it to look like those old classic poppers and stuff, the white body with the red head. So it's going to be a little bit off from that, but I think it'll turn out pretty cool and stuff. So we'll first start by doing a little bit of the red thread here. Build up a little wall there so that the weighted head won't swivel or fall off, and then we'll just go down the body so that the chenille will have something to grip to, and we'll snip that off. And so then the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with the marabou, and we'll just cut off some chunks of that. And I'm going to do a couple more times. I'm going to do it more than this, so just kind of enough to hold it down, or something's going to fall out. Okay, and so let's do a little bit more. I'll do a chunk here at the base of the feather that usually has a little bit longer feathers or fibers. So we want it just there at the bend of the hook is where we're tying it on, so it's going to go straight out there. So that looks like a good amount, and then we'll kind of just move it forward a little bit, tie those down, and back to the very back. And even though that whatever you're using, a chenille or this material or yarn, that'll work too. Even though it's going to cover this, just to make it easier on all that, I'm just going to cut all this extra out. That way it's just a little bit cleaner. So there we go. So that'll be better there. So now for the crystal flash, each of these colors, so I kind of want it maybe a little bit shorter than the very ends of that marabou. So And so do that, and then yeah, cut it off there, and then you can kind of do it another way. I think I'm actually going to flip those around. So there's that. And we'll just tie these down. So right there is some 4 strands, 2 blue, 2 silver. It's usually like what I do, the 4 strands and stuff. But let's do another. So we'll kind of do it more on this back side where you guys can't see, because those first ones you can. So we'll just do a couple of wraps and tie them down, and snip that. So there we go. So we got 3 blue and 3 of the crystal, and so let's go around and let's tighten these down. And so you can kind of see it. They're, different ways throughout it and stuff, because you don't want them all clumped together. You don't want them all on top. You just kind of want them all over and stuff. And so did that there. So then this, rather than working with this really long, we're going to cut that a little bit short too. I don't know, like 5 inches or so. So, and we will tighten it down a little bit there. So, and then take this, and we're going to be tying it on sort of the thick stem end. So I'm going to pull out all this stuff, all that under fluff that you can use for other flies and stuff. I'm going to tie that down. I'm going to cut that stem. I actually shouldn't have done it like that. There we go. And then we're going to run the thread to the front. And so wrap this around. I know it's going to be a thicker body, but I think that'll still work. I think it'll be neat to see it like this. I haven't done it like this before. So there we go. And so then right up behind the head, we're going to wrap this a couple times there. I know my fingers are getting in the way, sorry about that. So now it's in front and behind. There we go, we're going to snip that off. And then I'm actually going to do a little bit more there. The woolly bugger can be used or seen as many different things. It could be, and it's used for all different species of fish and stuff. It's used for trout, it's used for largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, crappie. I've caught crappie on woolly buggers. They're just all around good. They kind of look like a bug, in some ways, and depending on the size that you're tying it and stuff. They also look like a bait fish, something like that. So, with this, okay, it's shiny, might attract them there. And then if I kind of give it that little collar behind it, which, is optional, maybe it kind of looks like a gill, to a fish. So, so now we're going to go around the body. we go. And then I just do like 2 or 3 times around when I tie something, and then 2 or 3 times around in front of it. So we'll trim off that. A little tip there. And this is actually really buggy, like more than I thought it would be. So I'm going to do half hitch. And I don't want to try and get those fibers in there. I'm going to catch a few, but I'm also going to trim this down. So there we go, and snip that there. And then I'll take some super glue. And what I've actually been doing and stuff where, you know, it's too big of like a drop for what I'm working with, I've actually been putting it, you know, just like a couple drops on top of like a wine cork. And then I just take this, just kind of dip it in. Oop, just dip it in that. And then I can get right in there. Got a little bit on the bead head, but and I understand that, you know, some of you may not super glue it. You know, you may little fluff there. You know, you may just do the whip finish. I don't know if I can turn my. That's way too much. There we go. It's more centered and stuff. Sorry about that. Okay, so and then what I'm gonna do is actually go around it. Just kind of holding it here. I normally don't do this. Trim that where it kind of comes back. And then where it was kind of caught there in the head, I'll trim that up. So that is actually really buggy and stuff, but it's a special edition 4th of July one, so firecracker, you know, so, but just because it's kind of different and definitely more bristly and, you know, all that, doesn't mean it ain't going to work. I think that this will work great for bass. It just depends on the day, the weather, where you're fishing, all that kind of stuff. So, anywho, that's the 4th of July, America's 250th woolly bugger. So I thank you guys for watching, and have a safe and happy 4th of July. America is a great country. It's the greatest in the world and the greatest of the history of the world. We're very thankful to live here and stuff. And so, you know, a special thank you to all of our veterans, active military, firefighters, police, doctors, nurses, teachers, all of us, you know, work together and stuff, you know, and should work together to, you know, make America as you know, the best it can be, the greatest it can be, and to keep it that way as well. So thank you guys for watching and stuff, and have a happy 4th.